Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Auzu billah shaitan ar-Rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbi Gfirli, my Lord, forgive me for the sins that I am conscious and unconscious of. Ihdina Sirata Mustaqim. May God guide me to the direct path. May God guide our species to the direct path.
It is what. Yeah. It's a little bit south from here. Yeah. And 7, they go parallel. Yeah, that's right. First is 7, I think, and then is Forest. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Assembling the conscious pieces to an unconscious puzzle. I want to speak to you as a one human being, as a member of our species. I am reporting back to the species, and I want to share my observations and insights into the human position and try to give this response in such a way that it is not limited to just my own human. You know what? I should be sharing. Okay, hold on, guys. Yeah, this is the screen. Give me a second. These are from the previous. There we go. See, now it's this is going to be way better. Okay. Okay. All right, people can see it. So, assembling the conscious pieces to an unconscious puzzle. I mean, it's. I don't think it's a catchy title. Now we have to extract this. All right. Assembling the conscious pieces to an unconscious puzzle. Step 1. Deconstruct the sentence. Reverse engineer the question to see how it originated and from what reality? So, I mean, it's not a question, but anyways, the sentence. So we have a okay, and here, let me read this for people in case they don't know. So a puzzle, a game, toy, or problem designed to test ingenuity or think hard about something difficult to understand or explain, solve or understand something. Okay. But pretty much it's like a puzzle is a physical thing where you have to connect all the pieces to figure out the picture. Now, when we look at the human condition, how is it like a puzzle? So, what are the elements of the puzzle, my guy? What are the elements of the puzzle? We have the whole picture, existence, and we have parts of the picture, parts of the picture, which is the micro existence. And we also have a space or table to build the puzzle on. And we also have an intelligent force, our intelligence. We have an intelligent force making the puzzle. Now, it might seem puzzling to kind of consider the human being as a puzzle. But I'm telling you, there's value here. There's something important here. So, anyways, so now this is the puzzle. So, what are the elements of the puzzle? And now we come here and we say, so what are the elements of the human experience? So let me see, there's probably terms for this I can find. Let me see if I can find actual terms. So here, this is perfect. Okay. So a puzzle is a semantic assembly system. Each piece module contains partial semantic value, and the system only outputs when all constraints, interfaces, and clusters are resolved. So this is a very interesting idea. Okay, so in how is life of a human similar to how is a puzzle? Okay, that's the question we're answering. Now, when we look at the elements, we have the individual. Okay, we're okay. So we have the individual. See, there's a huge difference. Why? Because human beings are we are working with consciousness and unconsciousness. I mean, here, let me still zoom in on the similarity. So you have individual person. This is like a puzzle piece. You have the collective view of the world. We look at the human situation. We'll start from the human situation. The individual and the world to be a collective position. So the world is like the table, right? And humanity is like a puzzle piece. Okay. And everybody who hasn't been born yet, is kind of like the, how do I say it, the puzzle pieces that haven't been assembled, and everybody who's kind of lived a life and died, they're the parts of the puzzle that have been made. And you right now are a puzzle piece, but you have consciousness of yourself, so you can notice where you can fit into, but and that fits you in exactly where you match is not up to you. So you see, it's kind of bizarre because the contrast is here. We can notice the contrast between how is this system, and the difference is kind of like, even though we're conscious of our shape, we're like, imagine like, so you've bought a puzzle set. Okay, you have the box, put all the pieces on the table, you flip all the pieces. Okay, which means you become conscious of all the pieces. In human history, this is equivalent to the pieces that have not been flipped over, all the knowledge that human beings are not conscious of, and the pieces that have been that have been flipped over are has been flipped over. Okay, that means I'm not. You can. I can be. I am conscious of my shape, but the hand that moves the puzzle piece is equivalent to the higher intelligence in the world that moves. Deny the idea of God, right? And if you deny the idea of God, you should, in some sense, have to own it. Okay, because the human experience is that the start of conscious, it was pre-language. Okay, it was pre-ability to acknowledge individual classes of meaning, sets of meaning. Pretty much looking at humanity, looking at the human situation, noticing 8 billion creatures on a planet compared to all other species almost advanced, simply because we're aware that we're aware, not just some automated. Okay, let's keep going. Sorry about that. So, so I'm telling you the story of humanity. So I'm telling you this story of what's going on here on the planet. Imagine, it doesn't matter if it was you, if I was walking in the park, you know. Imagine I had an invisible cat and I put a leash on it and I went in the park and you were seeing me kind of like, you know, move an invisible leash, you know, holding an invisible, holding a leash of one invisible pet. If you came and asked me what's going on here, whether it was an extraterrestrial, super intelligent computer, another dimensional entity, or a human, or anybody, right? I would tell you very simply that you're looking at a situation where existence reached a level of sophistication that it opened another layer of existence. And what that means is that when you look at human beings and you look at a squirrel, for example, or a bird, the animal, the lesser animal, like the bird, it is content with its world. It's like its imagination is its environment because it's limited to its environment and it's forced to survive in its environment in accordance to its instincts. But when you look at the human being, the human being is not just treating the world like the only environment it's extracting value from. You understand? You can look at me and say, yo, man, I'm this physical being, I'm just this, and I'll be like, wait a minute, man. How are we valuing what we are seeing? That means there's something existing. Sure, I'm not saying it's not existing, but I'm saying when it comes to wondering what is the value of this existence, that value doesn't exist. You understand? That means it's bizarre. It's like you can fall in love with someone, the person you've fallen in love to is physical, real, you can touch them, but you cannot touch the love you have for them. You cannot touch beauty. Do you understand what I'm saying? You cannot touch the subjective meaning to the existence because the subjective meaning is being simulated within you. Do you understand what that means? This means that there is a reason somebody draws a work of art, or somebody makes a film, a director makes a film, and somebody watches that film and says that was total trash, and somebody watches that film and says that was remarkable. Why? Why are there two answers to one film? It's one film. Why does it mean different things to people? It's simply because we as human beings have been acting this whole time like it's just one existence, one world, but we have secretly behind our have been comparing this world to abstract worlds. What that means is the value of your world is abstract. Meaning is abstract. You understand? I don't know how to tell you this, but what you mean is not the same as what you are. One aspect of it is consciously being governed. How do you know that your worldview is not the ultimate worldview? How do you know this? You tell me, viewers. That means it's so easy to be like, yo, man, I'm limitless. I'm powerful. Yeah, it's a claim. You claim it. But how many people on this earth can claim their inferiority? Can you accept your limitations? Or are you one of those emotionally immature, creatures in a world that cannot accept your limitation? I'm not saying accept defeat. I'm saying that to me, as someone whose passion project has been to see the most advanced movement of the human species known to history, that means when it comes to God, the system admin, I'm nothing. I'm a pebble at the corner of the street. But when it comes to humanity, I cannot avoid the archetypes that are pushed through the realization of the actual responsibility. Do you understand what I mean? You think I don't want to just be oblivious all the time? You think I don't want to go in a cave of luxury and hide? You think I don't want to take the easy way out and say, okay, everything means nothing, I'm going to relax? No, it is weak. It is a weakness that should not be seen. Some weaknesses should never see the light of day. For it is not the person, it is just, and how do I say it? Like, how do I say it? It's like you see someone at one moment of their journey, you take a photograph with them, and then you think you know a person whose journey. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what you have been conditioned for and what you actually have been made for. Okay, And I want you could be the nicest, most peaceful person right now, but when it comes to strategy, as a strategist, you should be able to comprehend the counter attacks to your attack. What does that mean? That means I don't care, be the nicest, kindest person you are, but if you don't understand, if you can't notice cruelty, your kindness is shallow. You see, a human being, most human beings right now on earth are living reserved lives. Okay? And that's where, like, yo, man, give these kids a break from killing each other all the time. You know? Because the savageness of back in the day was intense. Like, I'm not a time traveler, I wasn't born there, but I visualized, like, if I was back in the day, everybody would have a sword on their, like, they would have a sword on them, they would have a weapon on them. It's like if you left the house without a weapon, it's like, what kind of, you know, um, fool are you? Right? So this is a world where, due to the nature of the survival of the fittest, which is a kind of, it's kind of brutal, but it's like, my impression of the human being is that, okay, the human being is being defined by its ego, right? And they're conditioning every child to be born in this world to be self-obsessed. That means they're like, yo, man, easier than us giving an idols for people to worship is to make themselves their own idols, so they're lost in themselves forever. Do you know how deceptive that is? That means when I think about, if I was an extraterrestrial general, hypothetically, and I wanted to invade Earth, like, we're already living in step one. Like, you don't understand. If I wanted to invade a species, I don't have the heart or even the nature to go do that. Okay, but if I can visualize in my inner realms, I have a completely different capability of being an entity than in front of my eyes. Okay, behind my eyes, I am not this body. Behind my eyes, this body is one of the factors that I am aware of. But what is the true presence of humanity? And I would advise you to go and look at how roar, because when in some sense your territory is being pushed, you should hear the alarms. Do you understand? And you, fellow human being, my fellow human species, you have in some sense had not had the chance for a counterattack. You were born in a system that, by making you obsessed about yourself, has defeated you instantly. Do you understand what that means? I'll give you an example. Imagine there was, like, okay, I'll create a scenario here. Imagine there was a rare resource on Earth. Let's call it rarium. Okay, it's like the rarest resource, the rarest, element, let's say resource on Earth. And everybody in the cosmos, extraterrestrials, are like, oh my God, there's rarium on Earth. It's so freaking rare. It's called rarium, you know? And so everybody is trying to, like, imagine our planet is made of this rarium, and we have to defend off all the other intergalactic scavengers and pirates from our, like, planet, imagine, right? So it would mean that the human species has to immediately resolve its internal conflicts and inner civil wars and prepare for outer war. You know? But let me tell you what the strategy is. If I wanted to, excuse me, let me see how I should talk about this. I would cut the head of the snake. This is something Sun Tzu speaks about. Ancient military tactic. That means, if anybody ever becomes my enemy, okay, and since I know I'm a human being that filters myself with the notion that I'm being watched by the system admin, I would take it as a sort of divine pattern of destiny. But if I do have this life, and if they told me, like, defeat this enemy or or there is like nothing else, or you will be or you will not exist. If I was like put in a situation where I had to defeat the human species, right, or I would defeat myself, I would probably defeat myself. Yeah, I would probably it would be a moment where I would look at the system admin and I'd be like, okay, you know. But if that means I destroy myself, destroy my future, okay. However, I'm trying. The purpose of this is for me to explain to you that if I, as a strategist, wanted to defeat you, defeat this species, defeat my species. And do you know what the most simplest way I would do? I would study the species and notice that it gets locked into perspectives. And I would ask myself, do I need to defeat the human species or do I just need to invisibly pass them by? That means imagine you want to defeat your. Okay, so, okay, this is too much. But I wrote a sci fi, like I'm a sci fi writer. I wrote a chapter called, The Legend of the Religious Robot. And there's a human invaded by extraterrestrials in my novel, in this chapter. The most advanced AI begins fighting aliens. I fathom that. And let me tell you what this approach is. I would create a simulation. That means to distract my enemy is to have no enemy at all. So I would divide and conquer the enemy by putting them each in their box. That means if an army came, right? Imagine an army of 100 soldiers came, right? And I had an ability to put boxes over their head. I would put boxes over all of their heads, right? And I would just walk past between them without even any violence or anything. I instead of like the type of invasion would be an invasion of your perception, not an invasion of your being, because there's no need. Do you understand? And the division and conquer is that imagine right now we were a unified species, okay? And back to that scenario where there's rare Earth is made of rarium, and like we have to fend off extraterrestrials. And imagine a diabolical, a deceptive extraterrestrial looks at us and, in some sense, says, "Just divide them. It's a great army, great, but an army is individuals divided in groups, right? And if I just cut the communication channels between them, I am victorious." So I'm trying to tell you, nationalism, okay, it may be like the progress so far of humanity, but it is simultaneously at a post division conquer scenario. It means that we're already divided and conquered. Okay, if aliens invade us, what are we going to do? Go to our political leaders? What are they? Invasion happens on Earth. What? How quickly are the leaders going to come into, right? Because our differences are more important than what we have in common. We're living in a kind of kill or kill or be killed world. You know, if I say to myself, if an extraterrestrial species invaded Earth and their strategy was to divide and conquer, then the Great War of 2025 is not a physical war, but it is in some sense reforming and reviving the communication channels of humanity. You understand what I mean? I'm saying the way 2025 is would be the future invaded. If we were invaded. Do you need help, sir? Okay. No problem. You've got this. Going back to the notion of the puzzle pieces. Now, regardless of the scenario, post-invasion kind of situation on Earth, I'll take that away. My effort was to tell you that sometimes to strengthen yourself, you have to wonder about how could you destroy yourself. But you should never destroy yourself because you never know your true value. You don't know what surprises await you. You don't know what moments you have been destined for, and you must, as a member of the human species, stay strong for the sake of all of us because we're all working in regards to collective consensus. That means it's like they say, yo, man, the status quo is fooled. But if you imagine exactly, if you can shift the status quo, that's victory. You understand? So it's kind of like, how do I say it? Anyways, let me go back to the screen. I was sharing. Get back to it. So individual person equals a puzzle, conscious person equals flipped puzzle piece with visible design. Unconscious, okay, an unconscious person equals unflipped puzzle piece. Now, it seems just like how puzzle pieces need to connect to some part of some part or cluster of the whole picture, as each piece plays its part, sections of the puzzle piece. So you have to, as a human being, have to, this might sound a bit strange, but you have to quickly accept yourself as a type of individual, as a type of being. Okay. I mean, okay. So this is suggesting if all humans organize and assemble, they will still just be the conscious parts of the puzzle. The unflipped people. I guess this is a so you're a puzzle piece. I'm a puzzle piece. 8 billion other puzzle pieces. These are the flipped puzzle pieces. We as puzzle pieces, become a cluster. We start, working together. Unifying. In that unification of consciousness, it's like sections of the puzzle of the whole picture become visible, right? So right now, the task of humanity is to become conscious of the hand that moves the puzzle pieces. This is the system admin. It's to also become conscious you're a puzzle piece. This is being human, and it's for the puzzle pieces to. This is humanity, and so we have to start this idea that reality is like puzzle pieces. You can fractalize it to the degree that species existent in the world is required to quickly assemble. So that part of the puzzle is visible. You know? So it's like the whole puzzle is being administered by an invisible hand, but the invisible hand is helping us in some sense to assemble. As human beings assemble, we in some sense see more of the picture. When we see more of the picture, more puzzle pieces can connect to the picture. So in order to advance humanity, we need advanced groups of human beings. We need advanced groups of human beings, and as these advanced groups of human beings assemble, more advanced human beings can be found in some sense. So pretty much we have to use all our the conscious pieces to assemble, the conscious, I guess, part of the puzzle. And I guess as more human beings are born into, more pieces are being flipped to connect to the picture. All right, guys, I need a quick breather. I'll be back in like 5 minutes. Okay. Let us look at the ability of a human being to acknowledge their situation and to realize that human beings are ultimately looking for the most intelligent interaction in their world. You're actually looking for intelligence. What intelligence means for the human being is the arrival of new information. The species has been conditioned to be self obsessed with itself, to go through a checklist till the day it dies on some level of alternatively surviving. The question of what was the truth of the human being remains. And so we as human beings alive in 2025 have the responsibility to show history and the future generations the might of our presence now. But the might of our presence is limited if it's just a human idea trying to function, and the realization that there's a system admin, there's a higher power, is the acknowledgement that this world not only has the presence of a value greater than anything you have ever seen. To be in the presence of a higher power means humanity is not alone, but to be in the presence of a higher power that is not shape is to, in some sense, be alone, but the world is not alone. The world is with the system. So, as a human being that cares for my species and cares for God and cares for everything that will, in some sense, that cares for the true potential of humanity, it's as if I am. How do I say it? It's as if I've looked at the world many times, kind of staring at it and being like, "You're breaking my heart," you know. But in actual, but in actuality, it's as if I ask myself if I was born again, or if I was suddenly the whole system looped again. That means I wake up every day. That's kind of like a loop. You log out, you log back in. But if this world was over and over, I wonder what would I have cared for. And ultimately, it's not about taking the world personally to be a person, but it's to, in some sense, actually realizing if if there wasn't my own personal expectation or personal, like, pretty much I'm saying that to be aware of how the world is more important than how we just want the world to be. And in order for someone who wants the humanity to be advanced, who wants human beings right now to be living in an advanced civilization, who in some sense already sees that beyond our nationalism is just paint on the face of a species that hasn't looked in the mirror long enough to realize, regardless of its name, regardless of its documents and ID and everything, in the mirror, you see the proof of your membership of one of the most advanced species to have ever existed, to us one of the most advanced type of beings situated in a world. You see, you are not just an object here. You're not just an object in an empty room and you have spontaneously found some sort of, subjective rarity, and fine tuning of how we're coming in from the beginning. Even you are in the simulated meaning of an objective value, which means that if you right now imagine the world like an author created a narrative world and created characters in it, you don't first of all just create the characters so that they're just, I mean, you create the character with ending in mind, with the destiny of the character in mind. And for me, it's as if like it's kind of scary because the options are my species thinks we're in an empty world room. How dare you? And then there's the other option that it was never empty and we just didn't know how to look at it. We just didn't like. You understand? You are being tested on how how do I being tested by how much you deceive yourself. How do I say this? Like, let me see. Let me put proper phrasing here. If I created a bunch of androids, let's imagine I'm like some genius inventor. I created a bunch of androids and I bought like a furnished house and I put these androids in the house and I programmed them to be a father android, a mother android, a daughter android, and a son android. Okay. And these androids, their consciousness to their own program begins from them just sitting at the dinner table, right? So imagine like these androids are rebooted, they're kind of like up and running. And the moment these androids open their eyes, they're at a dinner table and the mother robot is bringing food and putting the food on the table. Now, as the inventor of these androids, I would have surveillance cameras in the house, and I would be, or I might even use the eyes of the androids as surveillance, right? And I would kind of look at how long would it take for these androids to realize they are living like an entity they are not. How long will it take for these androids to be like, wait a minute, I just appeared here. Who was I before I was here? Do you understand? It's a matter of saying that the the similar texture of the subjective realm of a higher power. Do you understand what I mean? God has an ability to change the world in the same way the author of a novel has an ability to rewrite any sentence. Do you understand? So we are living in God. Like I should like these words do not make sense for a Muslim. Like it's very, how do I say it? Like it's like God is not human, but if God was human, our minds and souls and world, the subjective world, seems to be occurring inside the mind of the greater power. Do you know what that means? That means if there is the possibility of miracles, that's equivalent to the author changing the storyline. Now, the way the author can instantly change the storyline is by instantly, before writing it, changing its mind. So, because we are at the whims and we are at the will of a system admin that has the capacity to do anything, but we as the characters in the novel don't have the capacity to do anything, it's like we are our world, like your inner world is like God is in God. I can't say it like that. This is again, this is the error of me humanizing God. God is not human. But if we had no, like, we do have a choice. But I'm saying, if I right now imagined a character in a story, okay, and I suddenly, by just my mere intention, changed the character's destiny, then that character is in this in the it's in the mind of the creator, but the creator doesn't have a mind that a human can understand. You know, I'm by the box trying to box cannot be limited of. So in the same way I get a new idea, means in the same way new things happen in reality. But it's, do you understand what I'm saying? That means I could be a character in any story. Like I could be a character that tells his own story. Okay, I could like I've written a novel before. I've created worlds before. Okay, but the concern is the character in my world did not have any other choice other than how and what I created. And the type of characters that human beings are in the novel of the creator, this is all poetry. Creator can't be humanized, cannot be limited to the world. It's like we've been written where the character in the novel noticed that there was an author, but Muhammad, to the edge of reality, and from the edge of reality, it's God's mercy. Notice and this that you fact that you're actually a limited being, that there's higher power positions in this reality, and that the system administration going on, and the system administration designed the user in the system for a specific task, and that specific task is to know his systematic. That you this simulation. How can a simulation that is giving it its value? Only if you have a value beyond the world can you be there. Can you go there? To me, I look at it and I'm like, yo, that atheist scientist is just limiting reality to an organism's mechanism. Do you understand? To me, atheists, it's like they haven't looked at ants and noticed that, okay, we're living in a world where there is smaller power and there's higher, lower power and higher power. Compared to the ant, the human being, a politician, is like a higher power. But what is the human being? What is the politician an ant to? What is the great march of the heartbeat of humanity? The human being is a creature, and something I forgot to mention in the puzzle pieces is that the human being connects the puzzle piece through communication. It's kind of like a situation where our communication connects, and communication is different. That means I'll give you an example. Imagine there was a very attractive person, but they didn't know how to communicate. It's like, yo man, they put a bottle of water in, but he can't open the bottle. To me, I've it took me a while, but I know that human beings are acting. You're all acting, and you get attracted to someone who breaks the act and who breaks your act. You know, my whole life we're living in survival of the fittest, domination, sub this whole game. And I thought about, yo, man, how, like, if I'm a human being, and let's say another human being wants to dominate me, how would they dominate me? Do you know? Or if I was a human being and I had to dominate someone, how would I dominate someone? You know, the mind is giving you angles to the moment, not all angles in accordance to, a sort of ethicalism. What I'm trying to tell you is that sometimes to be your own friend, you have to be your own enemy. And I have been my enemy for a long time, my own enemy. Do you know how many times I've self sabotaged myself? But I don't think I do it anymore. Let me tell you why. Because I self sabotage due to this nature of acknowledging deep down that I was artificial. And sometimes when you're a really honest being, you can't lie to yourself, but you in a lie. You have to act in a simulation. And so when you actually know that there is something original in a world that's simulated, even if you get a desirable simulated reward, a part of you will feel you might not deserve it. You understand? That means like it's like I don't know, but if one day like the whole world acknowledges these lectures, I don't know and I realized it's like access, not access denied. It was like, I have reached a point where I can consciously say I'm bored of my existence because I've noticed its limits. It's repeating. The seasons loop, the color of the sky loops. We loop every morning. We wake up. It's like reality should not loop. That's a clue that it's simulated. It's looping. It's repeating. Like your bodily functions, you got to repeat them. You got to brush your teeth. So the human activity is kind of like, okay, manage these loops, but at some point you need to notice beyond the loop. And by giving a being an ability to be aware that it's aware, the connection to the original mercifully has been provided. Anyways, thank you for listening. My fellow species, we are upon an era where we require a new definition of the human being, and it's not going to be nationalistic and culturally limited. We are living in an era where we have to be conscious that the mind should not move faster than the body so that one day it will no longer need the body. I mean, of course, it's God's will ultimately, but we human beings, there's a reason we're noticing it. There's a reason you're conscious. There's a reason you can notice reality beyond yourself. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the world. Like, you know what's funny? Before becoming Muslim, I didn't realize every cell of my being, every atom of my existence and this existence is praising its creator. It remembers. That means some spiritual people, they're like, yo, bro, I remember my past life. And I'm like, that's it? You just remember your past lives? Do you remember the origin? If you do, well done. Help me bring forth the advanced humanity. But if you don't remember the original, then I guess you need to truly wonder how artificial your meaning is. Because if you ask me, what does life mean to you? It's no longer a close-ended answer. What life means is that it's not up to us. It's not up to just us. And it just gives you goosebumps, but you understand it. You are not lesser animals, birds, squirrels, and all the other ones. You're not just living among higher animals like human beings and all this. You're not just living in the mysterium of how we are conscious we're animals. So how can we just be an animal situation? and you're also working with a higher power. When a higher power is there, it's not collaboration. Collaboration is on equal merit, on equal value. Collaborate with someone, right? It's like you can say, okay, the individuals are equally individually contributing. But when you are having a relationship with a higher power, that means I can collaborate with a friend, with another podcaster, but I can't collaborate with the higher power because the higher power, its will is final. Do you understand? It's like realizing your destiny is not limited to your mind. Anyways, A'udhu billahi shaitanir rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one. May the system admin Okay, guys, you got disconnected for a moment. May God protect us from unnecessary ignorance. May the most advanced guide us in the most advanced way. May humanity reveal its best and great in the presence of the system. My Lord, forgive me. My Lord, forgive my species for all the sins it is conscious of and unconscious of. And before it ended, guys, I was telling you that all those who think that reality should be perfect and that's what it needs to be advanced. In the Holy Quran, which I treat as the source code to the main operating system of reality, it says that even if people on earth, they all stopped being sinless and perfect, the civilization would be wiped out, so a new civilization of sinners arose. So the being on earth is not to be angels, because the angels asked God, why did you create man? And God said, I have created something that you do not know, because angels were the most perfect creations of God, perfectly listened to what God said and did and expressed. One, right? Well, it was as if like there were two extremes in the middle, in the sense that you're not a sort of savage obliviousness, and you're neither an angel, which means so it became clear to me that an invention is not necessarily a civilization that has stopped making mistakes, but it's a civilization that mistakes are not mistakes, just they are moments where you begin to realize your limitations, so you understand that there is the limitless. Do you understand? If you were, how would I say it? Like from the perspective of a Muslim, right? They might be like, yo, man, as a Muslim man, are you just praying? Are you just acting? And I will say, no. As a Muslim, because I acknowledge the system admin, not limited to the system and in the system, I also acknowledge that the system is expressing the attributes of this system. So it's kind of saying what is the most advanced, what are the most advanced states of man? They are states that are actually how the system admin is expressing the reality. You see, to me, a successful person is not somebody who just in this world succeeded. It's those who are close to the system admin. You see, we're all simulated beings. It doesn't matter if you're a flashy simulated being or not. It's all about how have you how which out of all the simulated beings, which have no original. You got it all wrong. It's not about is there overlord in the sky or not. No. It's about You are a fake entity in a fake world. And as Madara Uchiha said to Obito, wake up to reality. That means it's like, I don't want to tell you life is a dream, but I can't also claim this is the original place. It's like I can't claim the lobby of the hotel is the hotel room. I can act like it is. I can choose to stay in the lobby and act like it's the hotel room, and then you have the receptionist be like, "Hey, kid, why are you sleeping here?" Go to, which is another way of saying go to your truth, but it's not just your truth because you're a limited entity. Do you even want your own truth if you're a limited being? The mystery of reality far surpasses man's notion, but I personally find that the system admin is connected to us in the same way a world needs a world. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. All praise to the Lord of the worlds, to the higher power that is administering the conscious. It's remarkable being in a simulated testing zone inside a divine surveillance state where the way you pass the test is to notice the system admin, and it's the mercy of the system admin. Let's see. It's as if you don't believe in God, but do you believe in yourself? And if you do, what's the difference in believing in the invisible? I can't see myself, the subjective self, yet I'm telling you guys I'm a person. The moment we noticed we are the lower power, the higher power was in the room. For a religious person, life, and you have a performance review after this life, and you're going, like, for me as a being, I am, the moment I leave the simulation, I'm going to go meet the system admin. I know that's the world you're outside of your body looks different than what's in it. The outside of our world probably looks different than what's in it. For a Muslim, the soul is the secret of God, which means the highest state, the most state, is acknowledging your superior. There is a power here that is not limited to the world. It's cool to notice. Thank you for listening.